I just explained to you what do you mean?
I understand that's an alternative. I understand you have an alternative theory.
Planes operating this way.
What's the evidence? What's the evidence
at certain times?
What's the evidence that this plane, that any of these contractors who were dropped off went and killed Kirk? What is it? Right. What's your best piece of correlating evidence? What's your best piece of evidence for this? What is it?
You want me to basically provide you with the video proof that these contractors got off?
Any proof?
And walked any proof? And were there and involved?
Any proof? Any? Do you have any?
Andrew, I just
any proof? Do you have any proof?
I just explained to you the argument.
Okay. Well, let me explain to you a counter argument. What happened? Hang on. I'm going to show you. I got a counter too. I got a counter explanation for this. What happened is there is a planet full of aliens called the Yautja, and they come down here once every 20 years so that they can hunt. And there was a commando named Dutch who took one of these out. I have it on good authority, by the way, that Dutch, man, it was a hell of a fight, but Dutch did take out one of these Yautja. These type of predator vessels, let's call them, can cloak. And what happened is one flew down, and it actually, one of these Yautja jumped off of that vessel. It was also cloaked. And it used a specific type of dart which dissolves and shot it into Charlie Kirk's throat. And he began to gag and he died a horrible death. And then he beamed back up to the ship and he flew off. Tell me, what evidence would you demand from me to prove that that was true?
Well, I mean, you're describing things that would defy the laws of physics. So I would say that argument seems highly unlikely.
Well, wait, what evidence would you demand from me?
And natural laws of the world that we live in, I would say that would be extremely unlikely.
Oh, okay. So, but what evidence would you want from me? Let's say the physics were proven. What evidence would you require from me to prove that that claim is true? What would you want from me? What would it be?
Well, I mean, I guess I would say that I would need to see more of the circumstantial evidence that surrounds the whole thing. Like, I can't say that your made up fantasy scenario.
What makes it made up? Wait, what makes it made up? I have an anonymous source who witnessed the Yautja jumping off of the Predator aircraft. Okay, anonymous. So I can't reveal the source because it's anonymous, but it jumped off of the aircraft, uncloaked for just a second, shot the dart, and then it jumped back on the aircraft and away it flew. Well, I have it on good authority from my anonymous source. Why is that story not true? Well, what about it's not true?
There's video evidence of the event, and we know that nobody swooped down and did that. So obviously.
He was cloaked, dude. He was cloaked. He only uncloaked.
An invisibility robe?
Like, the Yautja are known for being able to cloak. So he cloaked, he jumped off, he uncloaked for just a second, enough for this eyewitness to see him shoot the dart from his shoulder cannon, and then he recloaked, jumped back on the Predator vessel, and away he went. I have it on good authority from this eyewitness. Why is he wrong?
Again, I would think that you're probably pretty naive for believing something like that.
Oh, would you?
Yeah, I would.
Oh, because it sounds kind of like made up and there's no good evidence for it?
See, the thing is, though, is that in at least this alternative theory that I am going to remain open-minded to. I'm not going to close myself off to any theory, and I'm certainly not going to turn around and diagnose anybody as mentally ill or crazy or as some bad actor for doing everything that they can to turn over every stone to find out what the truth is.
But can you tell me,
how I believe Candace Owens?
I understand, but can you tell me what evidence based on the fact that I have an anonymous source that saw this, what evidence do you want from me to demonstrate? Because you just seem to dismiss my theory out of hand because you didn't feel like it had very much evidence. What evidentiary standard would you like to use for me to prove my alternative theory? Why aren't you open-minded to it? How come?
There were plenty of video cameras around the event, and how the event played out did not align with anything that you had said in your scenario.
What part didn't align with it?
That
the video cameras did not show every angle of every part of that event. That's ridiculous.
Oh, there were videos of the sky, and we saw where
it's cloaked, dude. It's cloaked. The ship is cloaked, and why are you dismissing this? I want. I don't understand. I have an eyewitness. I have an eyewitness. And I think that this is what happened. Why are you dismissing it?
Because I feel like you're exaggerating. I feel like you're not acting in good faith necessarily.
How is that bad faith? This is my theory.
You're taking something that could very well, we both know, happen in reality. And
this happened in reality.
And you're comparing it to, some type of, Harry Potter fantasy.
How is it a Harry Potter fantasy? Again, the Yautja have been noted to be able to cloak. They come from a planet which is very high temperature. They visit here often. And what they do is they hunt people. There was a famous incident with a Dutch commando, or with a commando named Dutch, who tangled with one of these fucking things in the middle of a southeastern jungle. Not kidding. Okay. And it could cloak, and it killed his entire team. And it was just him at the end. And unfortunately, he had to deal with this problem. The thing is like, so we have evidence of the Yautja. We have evidence of their cloaking abilities. We have evidence of all of this. Tell me why my theory, what evidence do you want from me for this theory? What more could you want? There's an I have an anonymous source. We know that the cameras weren't pointed in every direction. We know that this predator cloaking technology exists. We know for sure that we have dealt in Southeast Asia with one of these things before. So what do you want? What do you want for evidence from me? What would the standard be?
You have an eyewitness with regard to this?
Yeah, an anonymous. I'm not going to reveal my source because they're anonymous, but I have an eyewitness.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, I mean, you know what? As an open-minded individual, I would take that into consideration then.
Oh, perfect.
And I certainly wouldn't turn around and consider you a lunatic or a crazy person for bringing a perspective and a theory towards that, if we pursued further and we continued to peel the layers back on it, could end up true. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that there are certain theories that haven't been put out there by individuals who you would say on either side, who I think have come out in bad faith and have done, I think, damage to people who are asking and want to know the legitimate truth and questions about what happened to Charlie Kirk. I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't see some of these accounts online.
Look, I'm actually fine if that's a standard, it's pretty consistent. If you're unwilling to rule out my Yautja theory, I don't know why you're laughing. I think that you haven't provided any standard of evidence that you would demand from me. You just said that you actually would cede that this is a viable theory. The Yautja theory is a viable theory, and you're not going to dismiss it or call me a crazy person. So I think that that's at least consistent. Look, I'm going to say one thing for you and on your behalf. You seem like a nice enough kid, right? And you're willing to have your worldview challenged, and that alone takes balls. The thing is like it takes guts to at least defend the position. And so I'm going to give credit where credit's due. You're willing to at least have some of the most adamant opposition who is good and skilled at putting out their worldview on so that you can have debates with them about this. That in and of itself is deserving of respect. But I just want to point out that you're one of the few on your side who will do that, and that there's a reason for that. And the reason is because these correlate claims, when they're in front of large audiences and they're pressed against, they fall apart, man. And so I would just want you to take one thing away from this conversation, right? Just one thing. It's good to have an open mind, right? But don't let it be so open that your brain falls out, okay? Like, you do have to make sure always that you have good evidentiary standards for the things that you claim, because you want to have integrity as a journalist, right? That's what you're doing, is you're doing like your own form of journalism. So, just like have integrity with that. And that's missing from new media. It was missing from old media. And I hope to see a reemergence in new media. It's like, and the second it's pressed against, we find that there's just nothing supporting it. It's just a house of sand. It's a glass window. You throw a rock and it breaks quick. And so, that's the one thing I want you to take away from this. I don't hate you. I don't have any issues with you. I have nothing but goodwill. I hope you make $1 billion and get a zillion subscribers. But just be fair on this, and don't let yourself get sucked into the trivialities of correlates that make no sense and arguments that aren't logical, or you'll find yourself very quickly on the other end of absolute destruction by a person like me, because we do that. Some of us do. Like, that's all I do. That's all I think about is arguments all day long. I think about the logic of a thing. I think about why they think this way. Why is it that when we move from A, we get to Z? Why is it we shouldn't use fallacious argumentation or fallacious thinking? That's all I think about every day, all day long. So it's like, if you do that, if you focus on doing that, man, you'll be unstoppable. That's all I'm saying to you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the JWhit Podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, please do me a favor and hit me up with that 3-piece special. Like the video, subscribe, and of course, share it with somebody who would also enjoy this type of content. And make sure you leave a comment, because I do pin the best comments to the top. So thank you so much for tuning in today. And until next time, everybody, grace and peace.